welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. We appreciate you. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman.
What's up?
I'm Molly Qerim.
Thanksgiving.
How you doing?
In the
Yes,
house.
so excited. My favorite holiday.
It's the best holiday of the year.
Eat, football,
No, you just
no
eat.
presents,
No,
you just chill.
I want to say this. You do not look it,
Okay.
but for people out there who don't know, you will eat.
Oh, I know.
You
He
will
caught
eat.
me yesterday
Yeah,
throwing down
I
with the,
grubbing.
with the curly
I
fries
grubbing, Matt.
right after the show.
I'm talking grubbing.
Listen,
Nothing wrong with that.
I
I was
love
like
to
this.
eat.
I looked at us.
I love to. I know.
What's wrong with you?
That's
Well,
why
you
I
wanted to
work
be
out
like,
to eat.
I'll just have a salad.
Yeah, no.
I just want to
Sandy
say
Murphy,
That's
no.
never gonna happen.
Hilarious.
No shot here. You know what's going to be
Let's
fun
go.
today? Coming up, the one and only Snoop Dogg will join the show. We want you guys to get involved. Send in your
Snoop
questions.
Dogg.
We're going to do these rapid fire questions with him. Yours. Hashtag Snoop Take. Send them in, and he'll answer them on the show.
Snoop.
We start with America's team. They're taking on the Redskins tomorrow on Thanksgiving. Hey, Rob Kelly, how about them Cowgirls?
Redskins Cowboys a big rivalry.
I already know.
For 40 years or
Yeah.
more. What do you know about it?
I know nobody here like the Dallas Cowgirls.
The rookie, Kelly, burst on the scene the last 3 weeks for Washington. Now, keep in mind, week 2 against Washington, the 9-game win streak started, and this is the first time an NFL defense gets a second look at Dak Prescott, so great litmus test there. Like, love, or hate, that fat Rob Kelly said this.
Nice, Kellerman. I hated it.
Oh, come on.
I hated it. You know why? Because, first of all, when y'all lost to the Dallas Cowboys in week 2 on your home turf in the nation's capital, I might add, I mean Landover, Maryland. We could be all technical about it if we want to. It's FedEx Field. I don't recall seeing Kelly play that game. I don't recall seeing him. Was he on the roster? I'm sure. I don't know whether he was injured, whether he was benched, whether he was a second string. I don't know what the situation was. But all I know is I didn't see that brother out on the football field. And so you're going to sit up there and run your mouth. And, I mean, let sleeping dogs lie. The Dallas Cowboys have won 9 straight. They are rolling. Right now, you getting ready to go onto their turf for Thanksgiving Day. You got to stop them. You already got your coach and your team complaining about the short rest because you had a Sunday night game and now you got to turn around and play on Thursday. And what are you going to do? You are going to open your mouth and call them the Cowgirls. Shots fired. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love it if he backs it up. I would love it if the Redskins back it up. But make no mistake about it, Mr. Kelly is on the clock. He clearly wanted the eye of the storm on him. You have our attention. You will be watched, and it will be recorded what you do in this game. He had better show up and produce, and the Redskins had better back it up, because if they don't, listen, they're going to have a rough afternoon. You don't talk smack like this.
I kind of liked it.
And here's the deal. I'm very, very big on this. Individual sports, I have no problem. You're a boxer, you want to talk smack? Talk away. You UFC fighter? Talk away. You a tennis player? Talk away. You a golfer? Talk away. Do all of that. But when you got to rely on a whole bunch of teammates who may not have your swag, who may not have your ability, who may not have your tenacity, you don't do that. Because it puts you in a position where you can end up making dudes have to live up to something, Max, they simply ain't capable of living up to.
I love this. I love this.
I'm with you.
First of all, Kelly, if you played daily fantasy, boy, you could get him.
I don't.
You could get him for pennies on the dollar, and he's producing like the best guy in the league. This is an undrafted rookie who has been balling recently. A big part of their recent role in Washington. And you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, not only America's team, but arguably the best team in football right now. Certainly in the NFC, they look like the best team. They have the best point differential in the game. They're the best team, third against the run. That's elite. I know they play ball control offense. It helps their defense, whatever. Third in yards per game against the run. Third. That's an elite defense against the run. And you're the running back calling them out. How much better does it get than that? An NFC East rivalry game, the first place Cowboys you're going up against, an excellent run defense, you're undrafted, and you're talking like
I love
this?
it.
How could you not love? How could you, of all people, not love this?
Because once again, I'm concerned about the Redskins in this game, A. B, it's not just about his ability, it's about that of his team. C, this dude had 17 carries. 17 carries until 3 games ago. Now, over the last 3 games, he had 21,
He's a
22,
rookie.
and 20.
Give him a break.
That's why you don't need to be. Listen, your breath smells like Similac. You wet behind the ears. Mind your damn manners. You haven't done anything yet. Yeah, you had a big game against Green Bay last week, but that's Green Bay, which we all know is just a joke of a defense right now. That was his first 100-yard game of his career, 137 yards on 24 carries. So when you look at that, okay, the fact of the matter is he hasn't really shown enough yet to be opening his mouth.
That's why he doesn't care, Stephen A. When you go undrafted and you work your way to this position, what do you have to lose?
Listen, I'm not saying, well, wait a minute. He has a lot to lose because if he doesn't show up Thursday and they play like garbage, excuse me, a lot of people are going to remember the fact that he said this. You're a rookie, but you're a rookie. Mind your manners. Mind your manners.
Now, let me give you the flip side of that. Let's say after talking this smack against Dallas, which you just mentioned, 3rd in the league against the run, he then goes out and balls. What do you have to say about that?
Then I'll be happy.
You'll love it.
But I'm concerned that that's not going to happen.
So the outcome will affect what you think about him talking smack.
Not just the outcome.
The fact that he's willing to risk that makes it awesome.
The outcome of him and the outcome of his performance, not just that of the Redskins, but of him. Redskins could win this game. But if you averaging 2 yards a rush and you ain't doing anything, I'm going to remember the fact that you opened your mouth. I don't like it.
Let me tell you, well, yeah, sure, if he fails. But the whole point of him talking like this is he don't plan on failing.
You're a rookie.
That makes it even more gangster.
You're a
What are you talking about?
High reward.
Let me tell you what else I like about it. In these kind of rivalries, and Cowboys versus Washington, partly it's stupid just because of the names of the team, is like this really hardcore football rivalry, NFC East and the whole thing. Part of the right kind of culture on a team is developing the proper hatred for the other team. So calling them the Cowgirls, and yes, it's not like politically correct, obviously, to use girl in a pejorative sense, but getting beyond that. Okay, fine, but getting beyond that, the idea is you're dissing, basically. You have something negative to say about them.
All right.
Indicates that you have internalized the rivalry. And if you're a Washington fan, you're looking at that going, I like the culture on this team. The rookie running back has already internalized the hatred of the Dallas Cowboys. And that kind of culture actually leads to success in rivalry games. It really does.
Well, listen. I had the pleasure of interviewing Joe Theismann yesterday on my radio show. Joe Theismann, Super Bowl champion quarterback for the Washington Redskins. He was on my show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio, every weekday, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Channel 82. Here's the deal. Joe Theismann loves the way the Redskins are playing. Of course, he believes the Redskins are going to win this game. He's saying that since they started out 0-2, keep in mind that they're 6-1-1 over their last 8 games, which is very, very impressive. We look at it from that perspective. So the Redskins clearly are a team that has the capability to ball. They have a high-powered offense, particularly when you look at Garcon, Deshaun Jackson, Jordan Reed, give Vernon Davis some love, backing up at that tight end spot. Looks like his career is getting rejuvenated. Offensive line doesn't look as suspect as it used to be. Kirk Cousins is balling and looking like a franchise caliber quarterback. We're not sold on that, but he's looking the part, at least right now, and give him his props because he's willing to accept that 1-year franchise tag. The fact of the matter is, with all of that being said, it minimizes the excuses to lose a game of this magnitude. And so, to me, well, again,
they don't plan on losing.
Well, again, I understand that. But this is a rookie who is unproven saying this. This was Kirk Cousins, I would have loved it. If this was Deshaun Jackson or Pierre Garcon or Jordan Reed, I would have loved it.
You want someone more proven.
But Kelly, who I never knew about till 2 weeks ago.
But that makes me like it more.
Y'all like it more, that's fine, because it's not going to hurt y'all as much if the Cowboys win. But it's going to hurt me, and I'm telling you right now, I can't.
Wait a minute.
The Cowboys are going to win. You guys will pick it tomorrow. The Cowboys are going to win.
This is what it is. You caught this the other day. You're really afraid that he's giving the Cowboys too much motivation. That's what this is about.
I am concerned about that. Listen, man, we have to come together as a nation and figure out a way to stop these Cowboys. We cannot have the Cowboys winning these games. We have to come together, and anything that can impede the ability to knock off the Cowboys is a concern.
The man makes a good point.
We must come up with something.
We have to come together as a nation to figure out how to stop these Cowboys.
All right, we got to move in. Yes or no answer here. Have you guys ever used that term, Cowgirls, to describe the Cowboys?
Me? Have I?
Privately. I've never seen you with a loss for words.
Are you ready for this?
I'm a Giants fan. I'm too busy watching Super Bowl championships. I'm not worried about the Cowboys.
I said it in private.
Okay.
You know.
Let's get into another Kelly now. The University of Notre Dame is also in the headlines, but for the wrong reasons this time. The NCAA has ordered the program to vacate all of its 2012 and 2013 football victories in academic misconduct case. So here's the deal. The Fighting Irish were the national runner-up in 2012. Losing to Alabama in the championship game, Notre Dame is appealing the decision announced Tuesday by the NCAA Committee on Infractions. They found a former student trainer completed coursework for 2 student athletes and provided impermissible academic benefits to 6 others over a 3-year period. Here's head coach Brian Kelly on the situation.
When you hear about vacating wins, you think of lack of institutional control. You hear of, clearly abuse within the university relative to extra benefits, things of that nature. And these don't even come close to that. We still beat all those teams. So you can put an asterisk next to it. If that makes you feel better, then that's fine with me.
Max?
I'm with Coach. I don't understand what's happening here. I really don't understand the ire toward Kelly. Is his job in trouble? Let's just go over what happened. There was student-to-student cheating.
Yep.
Which, by the way, happens at every university. It's not that it's not serious. Academic fraud is serious, but it happens all the time. It is discovered and self-reported. Wins are then vacated, which is also an absurd idea to me. I agree with Coach. Like, those wins happen. You're going to vacate them in fantasy land? Fine, go ahead. It's stupid. It always has been. But wins are then vacated, which is supposed to dissuade the cheaters. But in fact, you would like to incentivize schools to self-report. You don't want to do things that will dissuade them. And maybe sanctioning them in this way would dissuade them. I don't think it's good just in terms of incentive to do the right thing. But at any rate, because of that, the coach should somehow be ashamed or in hot water. Now, if people infer from what happened that they were aiding and abetting and the fact that it was a student trainer, it was somehow a lack of institutional control or worse, authority figures in the institution making that available to other students, fine, then make that case. But if it's simply, hey, the school self-reported, and we're saying bad school and bad coach, that doesn't make sense to me. It seems to me this was handled properly.
You know, we go back and forth, and obviously, usually a show like this is predicated on 2 dissenting opinions. There's nothing wrong with agreeing sometimes, particularly in a situation like this where there are principled positions involved. I have no problem whatsoever with Brian Kelly's position. I completely agree with him, and I agree with what Max had to say. But I'm going to take it a step further, Max, and I need to say this because I think it's important. I am getting sick and tired of coaches being held accountable for things that young men decide to do. Are they grown? No. Do they have mortgages and stuff like that? No, we get that. But the flip side is they're not toddlers. They're not children. If you cheat on a test, you know good and damn well it was you. What the hell does that have to do with a coach? It has nothing to do with a coach. It's not, it is not right, and it is not fair to the Brian Kellys of the world, because he's not the only coach that has had to stand up there and to some degree, be held accountable for the transgressions of individuals who have decided to try and skirt around the rules. We've got here, what are we talking about here? A former student athletic trainer. We're talking about 2 football student athletes during a 3-year period. You trying to tell me that a student trainer or an athletic trainer might know a thing or 2 about a particular course or whatever. He decides to help 2 students and the coach is aware of that? That's nonsense. Stop it. The fact of the matter is we live in a society where we've got too many parents out there. And when I say parents, I'm talking about people who may be on the NCAA committees, people who may be in corporate America and beyond, people who are in positions of influence and power who happen to be parents that want to look at a coach and act like a coach is supposed to be the be-all, end-all. Like Max said, if the coach is somehow, culpable because you can pinpoint how this coach was directly involved in somebody trying to skirt the rules to benefit his program. That's entirely different. Pay for play, manipulating or using your muscle and cachet to force administrative officials to do what you want to do to keep a player eligible. That's entirely different. But if you know that a couple of guys decided that they wanted to try and cheat, all right, they wanted to cheat, and you find out about it, how in God's name with a straight face can you hold the coach accountable for that? That, to me, is letting off an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old off the hook. And last time I checked, we sending kids to jail for not knowing how to act when they're 16. Look, so how the hell are you 19, 20, 21 years of old in college and you don't know any better? Of course you know better. Brian Kelly's absolutely right. This is nonsense.
Look,
it's nonsense.
I think part of what's going on is Kelly has an abrasive personality, or reportedly.
Yep.
Some people just don't.
We know it's reported.
He rubs them the wrong way. So when you have that kind of personality and there's a little weakness there, you're having a bad season, for example, people will pile on. I just would they're 4-7 right now, no bowl game. That's right. Over. I'll just remind people they were 10-3 last year.
That's right.
They made it to the national title game in 2012 and
they went
lost.
to the Fiesta Bowl after that.
They got crushed, by the way, by Alabama.
Yeah,
Alabama crushes a lot of teams.
Destroyed.
But the point is, so they finished 4th that year, but in reality, they finished 2nd. I'm sorry, if you get to the national title game and you lose, you finish in 2nd place. The last time they were the 2nd best team in the country was 1993. So for Notre Dame boosters, alumni, fans, if you think now's the time because there's a weakness that you don't like Brian Kelly and you think there's a way to somehow get him out, be sure that's what you want to do. Because right now they're having one bad season. They've had a lot of success recently.
10-3 last year, Fiesta Bowl. Lost. 2 years before, the 2 previous years, 8-5 and 9-4, Music City and Pinstripe Bowl. Brian Kelly inherited the program from Charlie Weiss. By all accounts, he's done a decent job. Not sensational job. Only had one really sensational year. The year they went 12-1 and went to the national championship game. Other than that, it's been 8-5 seasons, along with 10-3 seasons from last year. And this year, they've nosedived. We get it. But if you don't want the man to be the head coach of your football program, you've got ammunition in regards to football. Don't use this to try to smear him and use it as an excuse to try and sully his name. He has nothing to do with this. I am sick and tired of folks out there looking for other people to parent their kids, trying to blame him for what transgressions may have taken place. He is a football coach. You can't possibly watch every single little thing a guy does with your football program. There's over 80 guys on your roster. I'm sorry, sometimes they're going to cheat. They're going to act up. It's what you do when you find out that they have transgressed.
Yes.
It's
That's
not
the
about
point.
them transgressing.
That's the point.
That's
you
what
have
it
to
is.
ask yourself, if you're the NCAA, what kind of atmosphere do we want? Do we want an atmosphere that's conducive to transparency and honesty, or do we want one that does not incentivize people to do the right thing, that does the opposite? And by vacating wins and by taking very drastic measures, they're creating the wrong kind of atmosphere. That's the wrong reaction to have to the school that's trying to do the right thing, it seems to me.
Well, first of all, I think it's the height of hypocrisy for an institution like the NCAA, to talk about transparency. Well, I mean, when the hell are they going to be transparent? Who actually makes these decisions? Who are the committee members that come to these conclusions? Who are they? Where do they live?
Where are
their offices or whatever? We know it's in Indianapolis somewhere or whatever. But what do they do? I mean, what are their roles? These ad hoc committees that they come up with. Oh, please go someplace. It's ridiculous. Brian Kelly yesterday basically told him to kick rocks, and I don't blame him.
We're all on the same page here. But speaking of getting caught out, gentlemen, Swaggy P is clutch for the Lakers last night, hitting the game winner to beat the Thunder. So how did he feel about it?
Play with his arm for somebody else.
Yeah, you kind of stole the pass from Lou. You know that, right?
Yeah, I think they should have give me a steal for that.
And Snoop will join the show to talk about his Lakers. How far can Luke Walton take the Lake Show this season? Don't miss Snoop's prediction a bit later in the show, and we'll also announce our winners later.
My wife advised me to take off the shirt and put on some clothes. I listened to McQueen. Stephen A., I like the comment you made about Atlanta being fraudulent, If the shoe fit, wear it. I happen to be wearing Antonio Sorelli straight from Italy. And Max, we on one accord about who? The super teams. It is LeBron James' rule, and everybody else is bowing down to that. Bottom line is this. They all feel Mickelson's to his Tiger Woods.
First Take is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Williams with 10 to shoot. Ingram spins, drives, back to Nick Young, 3 for the lead. It's good! Nick Young with 5 seconds to go.
He stole that pass. I told him, if you're going to steal a pass, you better make the shot.
I think they should have put, give me a steal for that.
You know what was trending last night? The Lake Show. Word on the street is they are back. And how about Swaggy P with the game winner? Their first win over the Thunder since March of 2014. So the Lakers now improve to 8-7. This is the first time they've been over 500 through 15 games in the past 5 years. They now sit in the 7th seed in the West. Max, you covered this team very closely in LA for a long time. Is it time to take the purple and gold, or as you like to call them, the baby Lakers, seriously?
I'm happy to say yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Now, it's only 15 games into the season, although recent studies indicate by like 22 games, the playoff seeding. And you look at the Western Conference, the Jazz are considered better than the Lakers heading into the season. Certainly the T-Wolves, who aren't going so great right now. So it's not necessarily that they will make the playoffs. So Trailblazers, that's a good win. But they're a good young team. They're talented. They stockpiled draft picks. Maybe they overpaid for some free agents, but they made judicious signings in terms of the way those pieces fit together. And the big picture is, Stephen A. Smith, these kids are buying into Luke Walton. This is a coach that had a better winning percentage than anyone ever in the first half of last season when Steve Kerr wasn't there. It was like, well, yeah, but he's inheriting this incredible team. What kind of coach is Luke Walton really? This is the kind of coach he is. He's got them balling, all these guys. And D'Angelo Russell didn't even play yesterday, and he's the most talented guy on the team. But you go down the list, the way Lou Williams and Jordan Clarkson are playing off the bench, the way Nick Young, who traveled on that play, not only stole the pass, but traveled, but hit like the game winner. The way Nick Young is playing defense. You hear what I just said? Luke Walton's got them buying into the point that Swaggy P is playing defense. This is a guy who's really a D-League level player last year. And he's an actually good rotation player in the NBA right now. This is the work of an excellent young coach with a talented young team. Time to take him seriously.
I'm not taking them seriously just yet. I'm sorry, I disagree with you, but I want to couch my statements by saying this. First of all, Swaggy P, Nick Young could always play. He played in Washington before he got to L.A. along with a couple of other players. I'm proud of what I'm seeing from him right now because obviously that situation with D'Angelo Williams, things could have really went a different way. D'Angelo Russell. So I really am happy that things seem to be working out for him right now. What I will say to you is this. Here's where my trepidation comes in about the Los Angeles Lakers. They are the third-ranked offense. They're top 6 in both field goal percentage and three-point field goal percentage shooting. So clearly, Luke Walton has done a lot for them in that regard, and that's a good thing. They're the 28th ranked defense in the NBA. I get concerned about that because when you look at the lower rung of the Western Conference, Utah's got some young talent on their team. I don't think we can sleep on them. I also don't think we can sleep on the Denver Nuggets because I watched their game against the Bulls last night. I like some of the things that I saw, and I'm a Moutier fan. And this kid Murray that they got out of Kentucky, this brother's special. And then you've got New Orleans. You remember Drew Holiday took time off because his wife was ill. Yep. They had a child. Thank God they seem to be doing fine. We wish them nothing but the best. But in the case of Drew Holiday, you don't have a point guard. So having him back, they've been undefeated since he's arrived back, and Anthony Davis is a flat-out superstar. That's 3 teams. And then, of course, there's a 4th in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Why do we bring them up? Because of Tom Thibodeau. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs either, but do I believe in Tom Thibodeau more so than I believe believe in Luke Walton at this particular juncture? Yeah, because I think the talent is better. And not only that, he focuses on defense. Luke Walton focuses on offense a lot. Even though Luke Walton, I think, is a golden boy. I think this guy's going to be a star coach in this game. I got a lot of love for Luke Walton. I think he's pointing them in the right direction. We're only debating as it pertains to this year. I think the future's bright. I think the Lakers clearly made the right call. Luke Walton is special, and I think he's going to have a bright future. But the personnel that they have, and as the season wanes, how far along you're going to have to bring them, I have more confidence in those other situations than I do in the Lakers at this moment.
Look, I'm not as big a fan of Thibodeau as you and some others are. I think
defensively,
he's a very good coach, but he really
he's exceptionally defensively.
He doesn't manage minutes throughout the season, so as the season gets into the later phases, it's like too much intensity. It's like it's not even intense; it's just tense by the end, and these guys are ground down a little bit. And let's see what happens with a young team because he in the playoffs I used to get the sense his team was tired. That's one. I think Luke Walton. These guys are having fun playing for him. I don't get that sense with the Thibodeau team. But a young team that wants to pass the ball and shoot the ball with all these young high draft picks, they have fun playing for Luke Walton.
Let me stop you right there. Here's why. I don't know if you're capable of having more fun than playing for Mike D'Antoni. I really, really don't. We saw Mike D'Antoni in New York and L.A. Now, granted, in fairness to him, he averaged 58 wins in Phoenix. And I think he's doing a really good job in Houston thus far. It helps to have a stud like James Harden. But
buy in. Because Carmelo and Kobe didn't buy in.
Well, you gotta
Harden bought in.
I wouldn't say Kobe didn't buy in. I really don't feel that way.
He staged a mutiny.
No. I don't feel that way. Kobe did not stage a mutiny.
When they went 28-12 over the last 40 games and made the playoffs, Kobe basically took over the offense and said, I'm running this offense.
He took over the offense because what happened was D'Antoni wasn't doing stuff on the defensive side of the ball. So Kobe is out on the court, and he's thinking about the fact that you're running up and down, but where is that going to get us?
I want to get back to the personnel that you brought up, okay? If you look at the Lakers' personnel, not only is D'Angelo Russell maybe a genius in the pick and roll, considering at how young an age he's able to make those passes in the pick and roll, especially, but you look at Jordan Clarkson as the third guard, really in a three, I guess now it's a four-guard rotation. Julius Randle and the way he's kind of playing more like Draymond Green, using his diverse skills to play more like a guy taking the ball off the glass, pushing it up the court, making the pass, not trying to get into the lane and score all the time, stuff like that. You look at a guy like Larry Nance Jr., who's doing all the dirty work that you really need, a glue guy like that who's also super athletic and rolls as hard as he does to the basket. A guy like that makes all the other players better, especially on a young team. Very important. When you look at the personnel and the veterans like Dang and Mozgov, actually the Lakers' personnel is kind of underrated right now.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Listen, here's the reality of the situation. When you look at the Lakers, they're an unproven commodity. It's not that anybody's questioning their talent. It's that have you been there and done that? So what I'm saying to you is when I look at the Western Conference and I look at the teams that I mentioned, clearly you have a situation where Utah is unproven, no doubt. Minnesota's unproven, no doubt. But the Lakers are a 7th seed. It's not like they're a 4th seed. They're the 7th seed. Portland's right there. You've got New Orleans to take into consideration, and then you got to take other coaching into consideration. I look at Luke Walton, and the fact that you're the 28th ranked defense resonates with me because I believe that as a season wanes, you have to be able to prove you can stop people. I think the Lakers, their energy is going to dissipate to some degree because it's an 82-game grind. Not only that, but it's also a situation where you're going to have to be able to step up and get stops because sometimes your shot's not going to fall. That's my question mark about the Lakers. I'm not ruling them out. I'm simply saying I'm not overly excited about their playoff prospects after 15 games. What I'm excited about is that you're relevant, that you're competitive, and that you actually look at the Lakers now and you see an upside. You know what this reminds me of, Max? Before Shaq arrived, when Jerry West, the great Jerry West, was so proud of the Lakers because Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones and Eldon Campbell and those guys came out there and had the Lakers looking respectable and competitive. It really touched them because even though they lost, they battled. And that's what I see
more upside.
The potential. I see that upside. I just don't know if it's going to get to the playoffs this year.
I see more upside with this young nucleus than I did with the nucleus you just mentioned pre-Kobe and Shaq in L.A. Yeah, I see more upside.
I don't see that.
Now, do they still need to add a championship caliber player at some point through free agency? And by the way, we didn't even talk about Brandon Ingram, right? I mean, like they have he's not ready yet. He won't be ready for a while. But he has high-end potential.
No question.
The point is that you're right about the playoffs. We'll see what happens in terms of them being able to get stops. The thing is that people often conflate the idea, on the one hand, that you haven't done it yet. You haven't proven it yet, with the idea that you're not capable of proving it. There is a moment at which a group that hasn't yet proven it starts proving it. And this Lakers team, through 15 games, has me thinking they got a shot to do it this year, which is way ahead of schedule.
If they have a shot to do it this year, then they'll make it in the playoffs with a 40-win season or a 41-win season.
Something like that?
Something like that. Yeah. That's their shot.
Off a 17-win season.
But listen, again, it's been a disaster there, which you know because you were working in L.A. It's not a disaster anymore, and Luke Walton's got this steered in the right direction, because the biggest thing that I think you're going to be able to peel from this Lakers team is that it's not going to be a destination spot that people are saying, hell no, I want no part of it anymore.
That's the biggest thing.
This is the biggest thing that's going on right now. You're actually starting to like watching this team play again, and they're relevant because they're competing against some of the better teams.
A superstar now looks at them and goes, if it's the right fit, and goes, I might be the missing ingredient. And that's what those free agent, by the time they get to free agency, they're not trying to go to a rebuilding spot.
I'm not sure we could say that with what we've seen some free agents do this offseason. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, speaking of that, Lakers at Warriors tonight, so that'll be a good test also to see them facing up against those guys.
They're not going to. The Lakers will get destroyed tonight.
Well, second back-to-back against the Warriors is not a great format.
It's not about the second back-to-back. It's the fact that you beat them by 20 when they came to L.A. That's why. It's going to be a bad night for the Lakers tonight. A bad night.
Well, you know, we'll find out in a matter of hours.
And we'll be talking about it.
Unless Golden State was chilling, hanging out a little bit too late.
Don't start making excuses. Don't start making excuses.
I'll leave that to you.
You took a shot, and now you're defending it.
The Warriors will destroy them tonight.
Let's move on, guys. The New York Football Giants are on a tear, and they're climbing up the NFL power rankings. You might be surprised what Stephen A. and Max have to say about the Giants' Super Bowl chances. That is next.
Was that just Jay Cutler that got stripped?
And stay tuned.
Surprised. I'm so
Snoop Dogg making an appearance. He was at the Rams games this weekend, but does he believe in LA football? We'll get into that. But before we go to a break, another Your Take contest finalist. The winners will be revealed later in the show. Stay tuned.
Cam is the league MVP, and we all know you do not get that title from being mediocre. You get that title from being the best. And Stephen A., you said it yourself. Cam has not received a roughing the passer penalty since 2014. Ultimately, what you're saying is that until Cam changes the way he plays the game of football, you will not give him the MVP or veteran calls that he so rightfully deserves.
What's up, First Take? My name is Paul Eterno, and thank you guys for this opportunity.
My name is Alejandro Garcia. I'm from Miami, Florida.
I'm calling from Monroe, Louisiana.
Coming all the way from Aldershot in England.
I am here to represent the ladies, and I just want to give you guys my take.
Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. It is I, the debate guru.
My co-host, Sonic the Hedgehog here.
Romo. I mean, crikey, mate. What the heck was with that Gimme More Sympathy press conference recently?
Ronda Rousey, tell me how does humble pie taste?
I am 100% baffled on your stance with Tony Romo.
Disrespect!
Say it with me. First Take, Your Take.
Gentlemen, we are almost there. Stephen A. is going to announce the winner of the First Take Your contest a little later in the show.
I have viewed many of them. They have sent in thousands. We thank you for sending in your videos,
everyone.
But damn it, there can only be two winners. One man, one woman. And I watched them closely, and I agree with the assessment of my staff on who we have picked to be the winner. I will announce this at the end of the show.
Feeling good about it. Survival of the fittest, right? That's what it takes to be up here with these two.
Presentation, substance.
These two sharks.
Innovativeness. We got to judge it. We got to judge it.
All right.
It is what it is.
Speaking of debate, let's get into it. Big Blue with a big jump. The Giants climbed up ESPN's power rankings this week, moving up from number 6 from number 16 in last week's. The G-men are on a 5-game win streak and sit at 7-3 overall. So let's take a peek at the rest of the top 10. The Cowboys remain at number 1 for the second straight week, followed by the Seahawks, Patriots, Raiders, and Broncos. The Raiders also moved up. Is number 6 too high, too low, or just right for the Giants?
I was prepared this morning to come on and say, actually, I'm the Giants fan. You're expecting me to say at least just right. But in fact, they're overrated.
Oh.
And then I actually looked at the teams that they're rated ahead of. The problem is not that they're overrated now. The problem is they were underrated throughout most of this season.
Okay.
I mean, because I don't see how you go from 16 to 6 by the win over the Bears that came down to the wire, essentially. That brings you from 16 to 6. That's essentially the panel that decides, admitting that they'd made a mistake rating the Giants where they did in the first place. Here's the thing. The teams that are ahead of them, yes.
Wait, time
Patriots,
out. So you're saying they're just right?
I'm saying they're just right.
Okay,
yes.
just wanted to be
6.
clear.
You could argue anywhere from 6 to about 12. Okay. They're in that range. 6 is the high end of where you might put them. 12 is like the low end. Like, are they better than the Chiefs or the Falcons? That's debatable. Washington, these are the teams that they're right ahead of. The Lions, they're all around the same. The Vikings are down at 12, and the Vikings, at least at one point in this season, looked elite. None of these other teams I just mentioned have looked elite at any point in the season, not even the Falcons or the Chiefs. But the Giants are in that range, Stephen A. The defensive signings they made are showing up in these close games. Olivier Vernon, Janoris Jenkins, and even, early in the season, you go, their front four is really good. Their corners are really good, but the defense is kind of soft in the middle. The linebackers and the safeties, although they've stepped up. Hello, Landon Collins. I mean, and that's not so soft anymore. And with Jenkins back, the blocking in the run game and the blocking period on the offensive line has gotten a little better. It went from just the worst ever to something you can kind of live with. But the receivers still have a hard time getting into their routes because the offensive line doesn't block well enough. They still don't have much of a running game. That keeps them from being elite, and people are reacting to the win streak. These wins could go either way. They're not elite. They're in the upper tier of the middle pack teams.
It went from 16 to 10. That's a big jump. 10 spots.
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in thinking about them at
16 to 6.
I'm interested in thinking about them at 6.
Excuse my math.
And I'm just my mentality is that I think the Detroit Lions deserve to be ahead of them. I think the Detroit Lions over the last several weeks, they've got wins over the Eagles, the Redskins, and the Minnesota Vikings. They've come out of nowhere, and I got to give respect where it's due. And considering that they've done it without the services of Megatron, really resonates with me. So
you don't respect struggling against the Bears and barely beating the Bears like the Giants?
How about that? I mean, that definitely.
Giants got wins over the Cowboys and Eagles this year.
I understand that, but the Cowboys is the season opener. That's why I'm looking at it.
Eagle won.
Well, again, it's week to week, Max. You didn't ask me this 8-9 weeks ago. You're asking me now. Okay, if it was 8-9 weeks ago, it would be all right. I'm saying right now, based on what I'm seeing, I would put the Lions ahead of the Giants for now. Now, when I look at the Giants, their offensive line is suspect. Their running game is virtually non-existent. They're second to last. That pass protection that they're failing to provide Eli Manning on several occasions, could you imagine how potent their passing game would be? Even more so if they protected Eli Manning better. And even though their defense looked good, again, it was against the Bears. It was against Jay Cutler. So, again, I'm not saying that the Giants aren't legit. I'm not saying that they can't make some noise. I'm not saying that I don't see improvement. I'm saying it gives me cause to pause when you think about the areas in which they've shown vulnerability, whereas the Lions have surprised the hell out of me. I did not see them coming, and that's why I'm paying attention to right now.
Eric Flowers, the left tackle they drafted in the first round, who I thought was probably the most talented tackle in the draft, and that's a skill position, especially left tackle skill position. Not so many guys step in day one, they're good. It takes a while not only to learn to play the position technically, but then also to gel with your teammates in terms of the chemistry, to understand each other. And Flowers is getting beaten on almost every play. I guess he's improving a little bit, but I don't think the ship has sailed on him. I think he could be an excellent NFL player eventually. But the key to their season seems to be, to me, how much improvement can he make between now and the end of the season? And if he can become kind of respectable between now and then, because he might be all pro one day, but I'm just talking about right now. If he can make a jump to a respectable left tackle in the next several weeks, which is asking a lot, the Giants can be formidable.
Let's not forget
the defense is definitely coming along.
Let's not forget the kind of year Matthew Stafford is having.
Yeah.
It's kind of special right now. And considering that he's doing this without Megatron, what he's basically saying is that when that guy was there, I had to go in that direction. Now that Megatron's not there, you don't know where I'm going to go. And it's really opened him up. And he's become more of a leader, not just a player for the Detroit Lions.
I don't think anyone has a three-receiver combination as good as the New York Football
I was going to say
Giants.
that Sterling Shepard was a money pick.
And then Victor Cruz is your third best receiver, and they're all on the field together. That show me three better than that.
But Detroit also, nice surprise. I'm looking forward to that game tomorrow. That's going to be a good one. We will get into that. Last Thursday, though, Odell Beckham Jr. and Von Miller visited a Bronx strip club. It's called Sin City, folks. And according to the New York Post, Beckham lost a $25,000 diamond ring. It's a pinky ring, in case you care, while at the club. Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. wrote a letter to Beckham and Miller regarding their selection of venue. Quote, I would love to show both of you gentlemen there is more to the Bronx than establishments such as Sin City, where you risk more than your valuables. If you'd like to see what the Bronx is really like and visit numerous establishments that our residents are actually proud of, I hope you will take me up on this offer. Stephen A., your reaction to Diaz's comments on Von and Odell Beckham?
Well, first of all, I think the politician was grandstanding. I mean, you know, what is holier than thou self? First of all, last time I checked, the strip club is a legal operation, is it not? I do believe they pay their bills. I do believe that there are taxes that the borough of the Bronx benefits from in that regard. If you have a problem with it, get rid of the establishment. It's there for a reason.
He's trying to take their liquor license.
Listen, he's trying to take their liquor license. Well, you know what? Good luck with that. But the bottom line is this. There's a lot of things that you could get into, okay, that are not that great. Now, I'm not sitting here, of course, I'm not sitting here advocating that folks go to a strip club, but I'm not.
Gentlemen's club is the proper term.
Oh, come on, it's a strip club.
Gentlemen clubs, okay? Gentlemen clubs.
Don't try to class it up, both of you. Don't even try it.
Excuse me. That's what it is, Molly. That's what it is.
And you enjoy the exotic dancing. Yeah, I get it.
I have
performers, Molly.
I have no idea.
Performers.
I have no performers. Very, very good. Very, very good performers. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that, look,
my job.
I mean, it's a legal establishment.
Yeah.
They pay their taxes, okay? It's clearly a thriving business since it's all over the place, all over America and beyond. And these are things that happen. And so for him to pick this as a particular issue that he speaks out about, excuse me, listen, I got relatives in the Bronx, Webster Avenue and beyond, okay? The bottom line is this. There are a lot of issues in the Bronx. As great of a borough as it is, there are a lot of issues there. There are a lot of issues that Mr. Ruben Diaz could have spoken on. Other than this, I thought it was grandstanding. I thought it was inappropriate. I thought it was unnecessary. All right. But obviously he achieved some degree of success for it because we're talking about it. It made news, and that was probably his objective.
Now, I know I'm supposed to now say something,
yeah.
But almost verbatim, of course, I would do it in a much more concise way, and I would do it more quickly and, you know, I don't need 7 minutes to say that. However,
it was more like 3, but
however, okay. I co-sign. I mean, it's a legal business, ostensibly profitable. The Bronx Borough President may not like it, but he's using it as to politically grandstand, and it is unbecoming. If he wants Odell Beckham to show up, he should privately call them
I would like to say this.
The botanical gardens are beautiful in the Bronx. Have you ever been to the botanical gardens?
I want to say one more thing.
I've also been to the zoo there, too, the Bronx Zoo.
There's a lot to do.
Both my parents are from the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx, and I spent more time in Yankee Stadium growing up than my living room.
I was born in the Bronx, raised in Queens.
But all right, you know, so they happen to have an establishment he likes to frequent there. The borough president wants to talk about.
What do you want to tell me? What do you want to tell me about the entertainment?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I was on The View years ago.
Really?
I co-hosted The View.
Oh, Lord.
And I had the pleasure of meeting the lovely, lovely Jennifer Love Hewitt. Okay. She came on the show, and it was
I loved her in Scream.
It was a preview. It was a preview of I don't know. I forgot whether it was the movie or the show, but she was playing a stripper.
Okay.
And I thought that, you know, she made a very, very valid point, pointing out how hardworking Some of these people are.
Yeah, of
so let's
course.
show them the respect that they deserve.
Listen,
That's all I'm trying to say.
it's a great
I don't
workout.
think he did that. I don't think he did that. And listen, Jennifer Love Hewitt would confirm for you.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, we should be sensitive.
I don't know if you could hold yourself up on that pole. I mean, that takes work. That takes upper body strength.
When you are transparently politically grandstanding like that, it rubs people the wrong way.
That's right, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah,
and I thought that he victimized those people by saying.
By the way, how did let me ask you something. How do you lose your ring? How do you lose your ring?
I don't understand that.
Because they said he was dancing a lot.
I don't know.
And then they mentioned that he studied human movement at LSU, so he was just practicing the human movement, dancing a little.
Right.
Let's leave it there.
It's hard work and they pay their taxes just like everybody else.
The Botanical Gardens, guys. The Cowboys go for their 10th straight win on Thanksgiving, but does Michael Irvin think that it's a bad thing?
I need a loss in here on the way to the playoffs to make us re-identify, refocus. Not saying that they are not focused and everything, but I wouldn't have an issue with the loss.
I'd like to know what Snoop had to say about this last topic. There he is. He's joining us next from sunny L.A. Snoop Dogg will join the show. We'll get into so much more First Take after the break. Speaking of prime time, our next guest has been a staple in the rap game for almost 25 years and has sold over 35 million albums worldwide, and that's really just the half of what he does. He needs no introduction. We welcome the one and only Snoop Dogg, who joins us from Los Angeles on behalf of the Snoop Youth Football League. See, Stevie A, you're not the only one who loves the kids.
That's right.
Snoop
really does love the kids.
Yes.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us, waking up early.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about your Lakers, though. They're looking
we're looking good.
They're looking all right. How far can they go this season without the Mamba?
I think we can at least get into the playoffs, and that's a great start from last year, only having 17 wins. I like the way we gel, and I like the way that we looking. I just don't think that we close. You know what I'm saying? We got to learn how to close. We got to finish teams all the way off and not let them have a chance to come back like last night. They allowed the OKC to try to creep back up on us. But I like the chemistry. I like what Luke is doing. And I feel like the fellas is going to figure it out sooner or later.
Snoop, Stephen A. here. Good to see you, my brother. Good to see you, my man.
What's up, family?
Now, let me ask you this question. Is that a little bit of emotion talking right there? I mean, because I know you know your basketball, and I know you know your football, but is that a little bit of emotion considering what the Lakers have put you through over the last few years, and you just sitting there and you feeling good right now? Is that what we hearing from you right now?
I think it's 70% emotion. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. But then again, I'm looking at who we beat. We beat the Warriors. We beat the Thunder. We beat the Rockets. We're not beating the sorry teams. We beating the teams we're not supposed to beat.
Hawks, too.
Oh, hello. I mean, we beating top-tier teams, even though it's the beginning of the season, but it all matters because it builds that self-esteem and that confidence and that camaraderie with the fellas that we can do it on the road or at the house.
Snoop, when you say we need to learn how to close, it reminds me, having done, Lakers radio basically for 5 years in L.A. just now, that Kobe fans and Lakers fans aren't always exactly the same thing. And some fans get conflicted like, damn, I really wanted Kobe to win, and without him, maybe we don't have. How much of you thinking about them closing has to do with Kobe not being on the team?
Well, if he was on the team, we would have a closer. So now we're trying to figure out who is the closer, and what I like about it is that different guys are stepping into that role. You know what I'm saying? It's not a one-man team anymore. It's a full team, and we can rely on everybody, even the bench. So it's just building that character that we're going to need when it gets playoff time and when it gets later on into the season. So I'm liking what I'm looking at right now.
Snoop, we'll get into you and Martha Stewart in a second because I need an explanation. I need an explanation of how you in the kitchen.
Match made in heaven.
I definitely need to talk. I love it. I definitely need to talk to you about that. But before I do that, Snoop, I got to take a moment to dime my man Max out. I don't know if you heard the blasphemy that has been coming out of this man's mouth, but he was talking a little smack about Kobe. He was talking about how Kobe had been awful the last 2 years.
What, am I lying?
And how all of that. Listen, even if Kobe was around, it would have been a detriment to these Lakers instead of a positive. I told him, other than the injuries, I don't want to hear what he's talking about. It's blasphemous. He should apologize to people like yourself, Cube, and the rest of the crew for the blasphemy coming out of his mouth.
Cube and me already did this.
Snoop Dogg, could you handle him, please? Could you handle him?
Go ahead, Snoop.
Max, I'm going to be waiting on you outside that door. You say one more thing about Kobe Bryant.
Snoop, don't try to pretend like you thought he was good last year.
It's not the thought of him being good. It's about if he wouldn't have had those injuries to go with his age, he would have still been at that level of, elite. But we look at what it is what it is. You know, Kobe had a great, outro season. You know what I'm saying? The record wasn't what it was about, but the love that he got from the people who he had crucified for so many years to stand up and give him love and respect and to appreciate what he had brought to the game. You know, the venues that he had won championships in, the teams he had broke their hearts, they all had enough pride and enough courage to give him love and respect. And on top of that, I gave him a 1966 Pontiac Parasini for 20 years of love that he gave to my community and my city. We love Kobe. He can do no wrong in our eyes.
Yeah, but by the way, let's be honest, too. They won 17 games because he was taking all the shots, and we got more draft picks because of that.
Because you didn't have anything around him.
Except for the time he dropped 60 the last game.
It wasn't nothing around him. Now we have a full team. Thank you, Kobe, for shooting like that because you helped us get our new team. We appreciate you.
Now, Snoop, let me get back to you in the kitchen. You and this kind of blew me away when I saw. First of all, I love Martha Stewart on television. Let me be very, very clear about that.
Yes, sir.
And then when she hooked up with you, I said, "What? What?"
Yes.
So how did this come about? A and B. Do you cook when you're at home, Snoop Dogg? Do you cook when you?
I'm a real chef, Steve. So what it was, we both have a lot in common. You know, I have kids and a wife, and I'm one of the best chefs, in my family or whatnot. So what it was, me and Martha, we had a lot in common, and our peoples decided to put us together. VH1 had a great idea. And, our chemistry is magic when we on screen, and it was just a magic culmination. It was holy macaroni, then it became holy matrimony.
Snoop, you're a big NFL guy. You did that NFL show on Yahoo I participated in before the Super Bowl last year. You draw up plays better than a lot of coaches for kids, break down, like, here's how you're going to score on 3rd and 3. What do you think right now in terms of football being in L.A.? As it wasn't the Raiders that came back, but still, you got an NFL team in L.A. What are your thoughts?
I'm loving it because the city of Inglewood is a beautiful place to house this football team. The Rams have always been a staple of Los Angeles. The fans coming out, they loving it. They got a pretty good defense. They just got to get their coach to stop coaching to lose and coach to not make the playoffs. Because to me, he's a horrible coach at that because he coaches to not make the playoffs. Because as soon as he doesn't make the playoff, then he wants to put in all the great players and give guys a shot.
Oh, my Lord. Snoop?
Oh, am I telling the truth or am I lying?
You most certainly are telling the truth. But I got to hold you accountable just the same way I will hold Spike accountable about these daggone Knicks. Because if you feel
Are you talking
that
about
way,
the Steelers?
No, I'm saying if you feel that way, I'm talking about Spike with the Knicks, you with the Rams, because here's my point. You in L.A., you synonymous with L.A. How the hell is Jeff Fisher still there doing exactly what you described he's doing? Why are Los Angeles tolerating this?
Because it's called NFL. Not for long. He's not going to be doing that for long. He's going to be out of here soon because we're not liking it. And I'm a Steeler fan, but I'm from L.A., so I have to take on the L.A. stigma. But I'm looking at what I'm looking at, and it's like it starts with him. Because if you put in Jared Goff week 1 like everybody else is giving their rookies a shot, so what if he lose? You have a better chance. But now you putting him in when the fire's already too hot. You planning to lose. You're not planning to win. You had a playoff shot 2 weeks ago if you would have put him in.
Snoop, speaking of the Steelers, we've been talking about how much credit or blame Mike Tomlin deserves for this year. In my opinion, Tomlin, he's my favorite coach, and he's one of the top, certainly 5 coaches in the NFL, maybe top 3 coach in the NFL. How much credit or blame does Mike Tomlin deserve for this year's Steelers team, which is not doing as well as people had hoped?
I mean, when you're the head coach, you take all of the blame. That's just what comes with it. When you win it all, you get it all. When you lose it all, you take it all. And I feel like us losing Palomalo, us losing Dick LeBeau, us losing Martavius Bryant, players having issues before the season starts. There's a lot of undiscipline going on, and you have to fault the head man in charge. So if we can get all of that back in order and get the spirit of what we do, it starts from up top. Everything runs downhill from up top. So coach got to get everything back in check. And once he does, then everything going to fall in place.
I can appreciate where you're coming from because I said the same thing even though I got mad love for Mike Tomlin. But it's that damn secondary, Snoop. You and I are both Steelers fans. That secondary drives me crazy. It's been driving me crazy for about 4 years.
I think me and you will be better. You playing safety, me playing cornerback, and we'll be all right. We get a whole lot of PIs, but we're going to be all right.
There we go. There we go.
Snoop, by the way, an ongoing debate on this show is that I say if the standard for testing in the NFL, they're in bed with alcoholic beverage companies. They sell that during the commercial breaks. They're essentially business partners with them. Then they shouldn't be testing for marijuana, which is, after all, now fully legal, including recreationally in many states. If the standard is alcohol, you don't test for weed because all the studies say the same thing. Alcohol is actually worse for you than weed. What is your position on this subject? I'm curious. I can't imagine what it would be.
My position is NHL, they don't test for marijuana. Major League Baseball, they don't test for marijuana. And basketball and NFL, they test for marijuana. The sports that are basically dominated by people that look like me and people that do what I do. So it seems like it's racially profiling going on because, like you said, they're in bed with the alcohol companies or whatnot. And it's not that we want you to come to work under the influence, but maybe when you're after work and you need healing and you're taking this medicine to help you with these migraines and these back pains and all of this stuff, that these pills that you're taking is really blowing your stomach up and messing your mind up. So now you're taking something that's prescribed by a doctor. Maybe it's just a rubbing cream. Maybe it's an edible. It doesn't always have to be smoking. It's different ways of being treated through this medical cannabis. So I'm saying that if they're going to, regulate for the right reasons and find out what it is about it that makes it work before you scrutinize it and talk bad about it, because it actually helps a lot of those Hall of Famers that have moved on from the NFL who were on prescribed drugs. Now they're on medical marijuana. They're able to walk, move better. And I know these guys are my friends. Some of them couldn't walk and couldn't do certain things until they got the medical marijuana, and now they're able to be back in position to take care of their grandkids and move around and do things that they want to do.
Snoop, I'm going to holler at you. I'm going to give you the last word on this, but I get where you're coming from with that. Basically for medicinal purposes and things of that nature. Ain't no argument here.
Yes.
But at the same time, I think that people have misconstrued the point that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to make it to my man right here, right now. If you are sitting up there for recreational purposes and you smoking, so we ain't for me to judge or anything like that, if it's not costing you money. But when you know what the rules are, you know what the regulations are, and you know it's going to cost you millions upon millions of dollars, and you still want to go out there and smoke it knowing you're going to get yourself suspended. I ain't going to mention no names, but you know who some of the players are. How do you feel about dudes engaging in that kind of stupidity? Because Snoop Dogg ain't costing himself no money off of that, but these players are.
See, Snoop Dogg don't have no commissioner to answer to.
There we go.
Snoop Dogg don't have no people to answer to. I'm my own commissioner.
That's
but
right.
When you're a part of a brand like the NFL, when you're a part of a brand that's been around before you've been around, and they have rules and regulations in place, you have to abide. And if you don't abide, they'll just remove you.
That's all I'm saying.
Take your money, and they'll replace you, and you'll just be on the sideline like, who was he? We don't care. There's someone just like you coming. You can't control a business that you can't control. You can control you, so you must be smart while you're in the business that they control. So regulate yourself and know if this is what you like to do, I'm going to do it when the season is over with, so that way when they, you understand me, testing me during the season, I'm going to be cool. Let me get an understanding to where I can't do it while I'm in this business, and I'll do it when I'm finished with this business.
How about that?
That's fair.
Thank you so much.
Snoop,
Yes,
I know
sir.
you're slow motion this morning, but we need you to go rapid fire here. These are some fan questions. Can
Let's
you
go.
answer them for us? Let's do
Let's
it.
go.
All right. This one is from True Trill Swag. He asked, what made you a Pittsburgh fan and why not Raiders or Rams?
1975, Mean Joe Green. I seen him on TV. I was a youngster, and I fell in love with him. I loved his spirit. And then I seen the commercial where he threw the little kid his jersey and drunk the Coke. I always wanted to be that little kid, so that's what it was.
That'll do it. This one from Mike Wiz 39. When's the collab coming, the album with Le'Veon Bell?
Oh, wow. Me and Le'Veon got a song. We got the juice. You understand me? I'm waiting on him to drop it. Hopefully we can get our wins on the plus side before we drop the song, because I would hate to put the song out with us negative.
Yeah, not the gin and juice, just the juice. All right.
Yes, sir.
Damon Brooks asks, is Martha Stewart as cool as she seems?
Martha Stewart is cool as ever. She's one of the sweetest ladies you ever want to meet, and she's very knowledgeable in the kitchen, and she's a very great teacher.
All right, Rishi K asks, out of all the Laker championship teams, which one is the greatest?
Greatest championship team, I would have to say 1987, or was it 88 when we went back-to-back, when Pat Riley told y'all, we'll be back, you understand me, so don't even clean the streets up. We'll be back here the same time, same place, same bat channel, same bat time.
Baby Lakers on the come up there. This one from Sharon Elliott asking, does LeBron deserve to be in the NBA's top 5 ever?
LeBron James if he wins one more championship, he deserves to be in the NBA top 5 forever. By me saying that, yes, he does, because he is one of the most exceptional basketball players you ever wanted to see. I've seen him take a lot of scrutiny, and now I'm watching him become a real leader and a real, legend in the basketball field. So I respect him and I love him, so I hope he does end up in the top 5.
And he brought a chip to the land, and you know about helping out your community, so we appreciate that. This one from George Thompson. He wants to know, what is Snoop's take on Stephen A. Smith being a closet Cowboys lover?
Oh, please. Nonsense.
You like the Cowboys?
Hell no, I'm a Steelers fan.
Low-key.
Well, say that then.
Snoop.
Hello. Well, I mean, that's despicable. You got to come out the closet. You understand me? I don't think Stephen A. is in the closet. Thank you.
I ain't in no closet. Trust me.
I don't even think he got a closet. I think he got a hallway full of clothes. You get me? No closet.
Yo,
listen, I like the Versace you're working in your closet today, Snoop.
Before I go, let me throw this out about you and Marsha. For anybody who doubts, Martha Stewart on television, go to the roast for Justin Bieber with Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart.
She stole the show.
Will say it all. She stole the show.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. And you can check out Snoop and Martha on VH1, and also, again, appreciate all you do with the Snoop football league there.
Snoop Chef.
And all you're doing
my
for the
kids
kids.
is going to be in that Final Four, too. They play for the Washington Huskies. They play for USC. They all over the Pac-12, man. Shout out to all my kids in the Snoop U football league. Let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, Snoop, thank you so much.
The right answer about the Steelers, too. Mean Joe Green.
Love you, bro.
Mean Joe Green.
Appreciate you, man.
Right back at you, Max. All right, Steve. All right, baby girl. Y'all be sweet.
Absolutely.
Bye. Thank you.
Peace.
Coming up next, they will be forever linked as the top 2 picks in the 2015 draft. But would these guys rather have Super Mario or famous Jameis as their franchise QB? Find out next. We'll get into it. And the New York Post with the headline, Rock and Rose after last night's Knicks win. What does Rose think about the victory?
I did hear the phrase vintage Derrick Rose tonight. I heard that phrase tonight.
Yeah, the vintage is gone, man. Told you the question should be, can I hoop? I could hoop. Like, it shouldn't be like he's playing like his old self. Like, if I could hoop, I could hoop. No matter if I did that when I was younger or now, I could play the game of basketball.
Thanks to being drafted number 1 and number 2 overall in the 2015 NFL Draft, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota will forever be compared to each other. Our ESPN insiders asked 5 NFL front office executives about which quarterback they'd want on their team right now and for the next 10 years. Quote, I'll take Mariota over Winston by a mile. He takes care of the ball better than Jameis. He has a great command of the passing offense. Sometimes Jameis will make that horrendous throw that'll cost you, and then you watch Marcus run. He has a great sense of when to do it. I'll be for Jameis in this debate. I think Marcus has more around him. He has a better offensive line. They've built a great running game around him. I can argue the Titans are slightly better than the Bucs for weapons. With Vincent Jackson out for the season, what do the Bucs have other than Mike Evans? So the final tally was 3 voted for Mariota and 2 took Winston. Stephen A., who would you rather have as your franchise quarterback?
Jameis Winston all day, every day.
Famous Jameis?
And I respect the hell out of Marcus Mariota. I remember he was coming out of Oregon. Max, I was in Pasadena for that national championship game when Oregon destroyed Florida State. I was so disgusted at Florida State that day. It took me about 2 years to forgive them for looking like the garbage that they looked like, or at least a year, by the way. But here's the thing about Jameis Winston. I think Jameis Winston is a winner. I think that in different ways, their talents are somewhat comparative. Marcus Mariota is a little bit more accurate. He definitely, there's a minimal amount of turnovers compared to Jameis. But I do think he has a better running game. I do think that the overall Tennessee Titans are a better defense. I do think they have a better offensive line. And I think he has more to work with than Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is the kind of person that ain't going to go down without swinging. If he's falling, he's going to swing. Mariota's the kind of person that will sit there and kneel and come back to fight another day. Jameis Winston is going to fight to the finish, and he will go down swinging. That's not to knock Marcus Mariota by any stretch of the imagination. He's a worthy number 2 pick. He's a talented guy, talented quarterback. But I think that they're relatively even in different ways, talent-wise. But where, to me, Jameis Winston is head and shoulders above Mariota is that Jameis Winston, to me, has that it factor that enables him to galvanize the troops around him for them to go all out and go out there and maximize the potential around him. And I think the records are indicative of that. Jameis Winston and Tampa are 5-5. Tennessee is 5-6. I think Tennessee is a better team than Tampa. The difference is that Jameis somehow wills it. And by the way, when you look at the turnovers, yes, Jameis Winston struggled a little bit. In the last 6 games, all of these turnovers, he's got 10 interceptions. In the last 6 games, he's thrown 2. This is what he does. He starts off rough, and then as the season wanes, he gets it together. I'm a Jameis Winston guy.
It's a big win over the Chiefs.
They're both going to be excellent NFL quarterbacks throughout the duration of their careers, and I expect them both to have productive careers. I don't think this is an obvious pick, but my vote will go to Marcus Mariota. Here's the real difference between them. Mariota's a better passer, and Mariota's a better runner. Like, he's better with his arm and better with his legs. Winston has a bigger, stronger arm, and Winston has a star quality that you mentioned about him. But I think most of the reason people tend to prefer Winston when they do, and I'd say it's about split 50-50 at this point, though to start the year, Winston had the wind at his back. There seemed to be momentum about his play. I think Winston is branded better than Mariota. First of all, he won the Heisman Trophy. He won a national title. He was the #1 overall pick. And in addition to all that, he has a Roethlisberger thing about him. Remember when Roethlisberger went 10th, when Eli went 1 and Phillip Rivers went 4, Roethlisberger went 10? There were plenty of people back then even saying there's something about Roethlisberger that looks the part to me. They turned out to be right. Roethlisberger is a star quarterback. So Winston also has that going for him. Big, strong guy with a big arm. Central casting for what you're thinking about as a winning quarterback. But when I actually look at what they do, in terms of what they do on the field, I prefer my quarterback to play like Mariota. I find him to be a more accurate passer and better with his legs.
Well,
I mean, how much? And he reads defenses at least as well.
In fairness to your point, I'm not refuting your point because you're wrong in this particular instance. I just think it's incomplete from this perspective. When I look at Jameis Winston, I ask myself, if he were in a situation like Marcus Mariota, what would he do? If Marcus Mariota was in a situation like Jameis Winston, what would he do? I think that Jameis Winston is playing for an inferior team compared to Tennessee. I look at Jameis Winston as the kind of person that adapts to the talent around him. If he has to do more, he will try to do more. If he needs to do less, he will do less. I don't look at him as a guy that just has a stronger arm. I look at him as a guy capable of making exactly the plays with his arm that Marcus Mariota makes. Without question, Marcus Mariota has more of a motor. He's got better wheels on him. There's no disputing that. But in terms of his arm, it's not just his strength, but his accuracy and all of that stuff. I think it very well be exactly what Marcus Mariota is if he had the talent around him and was asked to do it.
I don't know. I mean, I like Delaney Walker a lot, but as my primary target, I would take Mike Evans as my primary target over Delaney Walker.
You got Evans, but he's got Matthews, he's got Walker, he's got this kid Sharp, he's got DeMarco Murray coming out of the backfield that was running the football effectively. He's got a requisite number of weapons where he, along with Tennessee's defense being better, because Tampa Bay's ranked 25th against the pass.
Look over their careers and say who's played on a better team. I think Winston's played on a better team over his career so far, their young careers, than Mariota has. I agree it's debatable. I think part of the casting issue comes down to also who's their nearest comp. Like, if I bring up Roethlisberger and Winston, people know what I mean. They're mobile, but not exactly fast. They're big, they're strong, they have big arms, they have these leadership qualities. What's Mariota's closest comp? It's not a guy who would inspire you as much. Is it an Alex Smith with a better arm? Like, what is that exactly?
Well, let me throw it to you this way. Marcus Mariota's in the AFC South. Jameis Winston's in the NFC South. Marcus Mariota's got Indianapolis and Houston and Jacksonville. Jameis Winston's got New Orleans and Carolina and Atlanta. Let's keep that in mind.
Winston, tougher test.
Got team sounds so great right now.
I think the NFC South is far more valuable than the AFC South.
That's not what the record says at the moment.
Who cares? Because they're playing each other.
It's a better division.
Yeah.
But Winston, tougher test this weekend. He gets Seattle's defense. Meanwhile,
South is marginally
the
better than the
Titans
AFC
gets
South.
the Bears.
In what world?
Yeah, because everyone thought of the Panthers as this great team. It turns out they're not this great team. NFC South turned out to be a little overrated heading into the year. Let's be honest. I'm sorry.
They're still solid. Coming up next, the Knicks win again behind another huge night from Kristaps Porzingis. So should Carmelo Anthony hand over the reins to New York's budding star? And we take you to break with another of Your Take contest finalists. We're announcing the winners later.
The question is, can Tom Brady become the MVP of the NFL? The answer is a resounding absolutely. Now, you know what? I can't outmat the Max, and I can't outstyle the Steve. Matter of fact, I don't even wear glasses or ties. And Tom Brady don't lose, baby. I'm on the Brady gravy train on biscuit wheels.
Meanwhile, is there a new king of NYC? Move over, Melo. The zinger outshining everybody last night as he went off for the Knicks in their win over the Trailblazers. Kristaps Porzingis led all scorers with 31 points, his second 30-point game this season. Meanwhile, the leader of the team for the past 5.5 years, Carmelo, only had 17 points. Max Kellerman, is it time for Melo to hand the reins over to Porzingis?
It's been time. It has been time. Look, here's the bottom line. Carmelo Anthony is not now, nor ever has been, good enough to be the best player on a championship team. We don't know what Porzingis will eventually be, but when you look at him, you can imagine if he develops to where you hope his potential can go, maybe one day he could be the best player on a championship team. He is 7'3". That's a couple inches shorter than Yao Ming. That's a couple inches taller than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he can face up, beat any big off the dribble, shoot the three, on defense, patrol the paint. I mean, this guy, that's why they finish at the rim. They call him the unicorn. There has never been another player like him. And actually, Carmelo, when you think about how he's been best used throughout his career, he draws so much defensive attention because Stephen A., as you like to put out, he's an unstoppable scorer. So when he has the ball, he sucks people toward him. That means there are guys open and he can get them the ball. Now imagine a scenario where Carmelo's not the primary offensive weapon. They're running it through Porzingis. Now imagine how open Carmelo Anthony is, how much easier his job is. So even for the present, I like Porzingis as the number one option better. Whether or not he's actually better than Carmelo yet, but I like the way the team functions when they go through him more. And for the future, you have to develop him that way because he actually has the chance to bring you a championship. Carmelo Anthony does not as the best player on the team.
I disagree with you. And here's why I disagree with you, because it's not really about that. When I think about Carmelo Anthony, what I will concede is this. As New York Knicks fans were groaning last night when Carmelo Anthony was looking for folks to clear out, they're like, nah, let's try something new here. Frank Isola wrote a column in the New York Daily News. Frank Isola is the best. I mean, he's the voice of the New York Knicks. I don't give a damn what anybody say. He's that legit. He's been covering them for years. But when he points out that he's absolutely accurate when he says, we're tired as Knicks fans of seeing Carmelo Anthony in ISOs, holding the basketball. I'll give you that. He doesn't need to be doing that. But at the same time, you have to remember Kristaps Porzingis is developing. What I mean by that is not just his basketball skills, but his body, the physicality.
Wore down last year.
He's not the kind of guy like Kevin Durant was. Kevin Durant had ball handling skills. Kevin Durant could take it to the rack. Kevin Durant, as skinny as he was, just lethal in every set of the way because of the fluidity with his game and what have you. Kristaps Porzingis, you can get at him. He's tall, he's 7'3", but you can get physical with him and wear him down earlier. He's really one of those guys you have to bring along. So what I'm saying is he should be shooting just as much as Carmelo Anthony, no question about it. Carmelo Anthony shouldn't be in ISOs, holding the ball for 10, 12 seconds at a time without it moving. There's no doubt about that. That has to change. But you still want to use Carmelo Anthony as the number one option, Max, because you want him to be the draw so Kristaps Porzingis can sit up there and unleash. In other words, you be the drawer, you be that guy that everybody knows can put the ball in, will put the ball up, but you, Carmelo Anthony, have to be sensitive enough to the greatness of this dude, which I think he is because he's only shooting 18 times a game, not 20 or 22 like he did in years past. He's shooting less. You know, make sure Porzingis shoots more, get him the ball, get it out your hands quicker, but be the drawer, the decoy to facilitate Porzingis as opposed to him being the decoy for Melo. I don't agree with that.
First of all, I like Porzingis at the 5 and Carmelo at the 4.
Well,
I don't like Porzingis at the 4 at all.
I'm not talking about
but yes,
position.
I understand.
I'm not talking about offensively.
I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Here's the thing about Porzingis people have to realize. I mentioned Yao Ming, but his game is much more of a small man's than Yao Ming was. He's almost Yao Ming's size. He's a mismatch with everyone. I remember watching, whether he's playing the 4 or the 5.
Have you ever seen the legs on Yao Ming? It's like tree trunks.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy,
he's not as big in the butt as you want the center to be.
Porzingis.
When I saw him standing next to Shaq, I couldn't believe, though, him just dwarfing Shaq.
You remember what Yao said about playing Shaq, though? He said it was like playing a meat wall the first time he played him. There's no Shaq. But Porzingis is a mismatch with everyone. When he's playing the 4, I remember them playing the Cavs last year, and he's matched up with Kevin Love. And it's like, look at this. Kevin Love has nothing for him. There's nothing you can do. It's a joke. because he's almost a foot taller. He's almost a foot taller than Kevin Love, 9 inches taller in reality than Kevin Love. And people say, well, that's ridiculous. Of course it's a mismatch. Why? They both play the 4, and he mismatches with centers the same way.
You're thinking about his ability. I'm thinking about his physicality. And over the course of 82 games, if you're that primary option, you know, there are legitimate concerns as to whether you can handle that. We know Melo can. It's just that Melo, because of what you describe Porzingis to be, has to be sensitive to that. And as a result, has to modify his game in a way where you're still a #1 offensive guy, but you got to have like a 1 and 1A. It can't be you 1, you being A, him being B, and you not giving up the ball. You got to give it up
in the present,
but you still should be the #1 option.
In the present, you might be right. Carmelo's probably...
the present. I'm only talking about the present.
Carmelo's probably still better than Porzingis.
Next year, we ain't talking about
this. What I'm saying is you got to put the cart before the horse with this. Because, yes, Melo's still better than Porzingis, most likely. I mean, we'll see what happens if you fed Porzingis all day. But that's really not what it's about this year. They could have a chance to make the playoffs. They're not going to make much noise once they get there. But going forward, you need to make Porzingis the man if you want this thing to work eventually with the Knicks. And I think the sooner that starts, the better.
I'm saying,
and he's right there right now.
I'm saying you need Melo to assist in elevating him to that point. And by the way, the Knicks are better without Joakim Noah in the lineup, who's been out sick a couple of games because these guys, Quinn and the others, are coming in there subbing for him. They're more potent offensively, which has also helped Porzingis. We can't forget all of that because when you're 7'3" and you've got that much legs, but you're relatively skinny, you got to remember, cats can get at you physically to wear you down, and over the course of 82 games, you can't handle that.
Every time Joakim Noah, who was once a fantastic player, I thought, but every time he goes to the bench, the Knicks function better.
Well, I'm worried about that because you gave him 72 for 4 years.
That was a mistake at the time.
I'm just saying.
That's trade. Going from Robin Lopez now to Joakim now is a trade down.
I would not mind if this were year 3 of his contract and we saw something like this. But to see this in 14 games into the season of a 4-year, $72 million deal, I'm very concerned, but I want to hold out hope for Joakim because I like him.
Make Porzingis the man. What are you waiting for?
The Knicks, 7-7, 7th in the Eastern Conference. They play the Hornets on Friday. But tomorrow, the Cowboys have already taken 1 game from the Redskins this season as they prepare to face them again on Thanksgiving. But why does Michael Irvin think a loss would be a good thing for Dallas? And we take it to break with another of our Your Take contest finalists here. The winner will be announced at the end of the show by Stephen A.
Is LeBron James responsible for super teams? Right now, at this very moment, LeBron James is definitely responsible for super teams. Did he start super teams? No, but he is definitely responsible. What it all comes down to is LeBron being the man to beat. It comes down to facts and it comes down to stats. LeBron James has been dominating the Eastern Conference since he's been in the league. He's also been 6 consecutive times to the NBA Finals, and this has not happened in the last 50 years.
And I'm going to say this, and it's just great to be talking this way. Instead of looking for a win, I'm really looking for a loss. I need a loss in here on the way to the playoffs to make us re-identify, refocus. Not saying that they are not focused and everything, but I wouldn't have an issue with a loss and a reshape.
You know that voice. That was the playmaker, Michael Irvin, saying he's rooting for a Cowboys loss this week. Dallas has been rolling since beating the Redskins in week 2 and have a 2-game lead in the NFC East. Stephen A., does Irv have a point?
Yeah, he does have a point because if you go into the postseason with near perfection, it does elevate the level of pressure. So I definitely appreciate the playmaker, Michael Irvin, one of the few Cowboys I actually have liked in my lifetime. I love him dearly. That's my brother. But Michael Irvin, I believe that Michael Irvin did this to affect me. I think that Michael Irvin did this to get on my damn nerves because he knows I was not going to let this slide. This is the playmaker sitting up there looking out for the Cowboys, you know, because he's a cowboy, like Jerry Jones said it when he was introducing the playmaker into the Hall of Fame. This is what he's trying to do. Michael Irvin is revealing that he is scared that the Cowboys are going to mess this up. Michael Irvin, this is the first nugget of information. The more that I think about this, Max, the more that it's hitting home for me. Michael Irvin is nervous. Michael Irvin is nervous. Michael Irvin is worried that the Dallas Cowboys are going to stink up the joint come postseason after getting everybody all psyched and happy and exuberant about this season. He is fearful. Michael Irvin is scared. I kind of like this. The more I think about it, let me just sit back here and reflect. Michael Irvin See, primetime Deion Sanders, he's his own man. Even though he's a Cowboy, he's also a 49er. He's also an Atlanta Falcon. I mean, this is the dude. I mean, he's got several homes. Primetime's allergic to working in daytime because he's primetime, and that's the only time he should be on TV. Primetime. We understand that, so I'm not including him. But Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, not so much Troy Aikman because he's objective, but Michael Irvin especially. He seems a bit nervous. I'm starting to like this. This is a good sign for me. This might be the best sign I've received yet, that the Dallas Cowboys can end up being in trouble because Michael Irvin, the playmaker, full of guts and view and fury, this dude looks scared right now. He sounded scared there. I kind of like it.
And in fact, a little bit superstitious. All fans are superstitious because we have no control over the events.
Yes.
So we think things like, well, the law of averages, right? I mean, if they've won nine in a row, law of averages says they're going to have to lose sometime. Let's get that out of the way before the playoffs start because that's a one-and-done tournament. I understand that, and I hope he's right, and they do lose to Washington this weekend because the Giants play the Browns, a game they should win, knock wood. And if that happens and the Giants can pick up a game and retain that game by the time Week 13 rolls around, then the Giants play the Cowboys for first place in the NFC East. And though they would have a tied record, the Giants would own two wins over the Cowboys.
It's all about your agendas
that's right now. That's every sports fan's agenda. That's exactly right. It's basically superstition. And let me tell you something. The Cowboys are a fundamentally good team. I'm up here a lot talking about there are only a handful of really good teams and a handful of really bad teams. The vast majority of teams fall in the middle. The ones with the good records have gotten a little lucky. Yeah. You can talk whatever you want in football, the Cowboys' running game, their defense, whatever. All that stuff tends to cancel out. You know who wins the game? +2 turnover differential. You're going to win the game. So if the Cowboys, someone like Michael Irvin's watching this, he knows safety pops someone hard, ball comes out, the corner or whoever happens to be in the vicinity and grabs the ball, that can determine the game. Even the better team who's been playing better the whole game can lose, and he kind of wants superstitiously, I think, to get the loss over with now.
I look at this differently. I think he's thinking of teams like the 2007 Patriots. And you need to get a loss. And you remember they ran the table and then they didn't win the Super Bowl. And we had the Panthers last year. They went on a run and then they had the loss to the Falcons that kind of refocused them. I think it's more from that. They're winning too much. Well, for last season.
But we're not going. We're not disputing that. What I'm saying is, overall, in the end, it's because he wants the Cowboys to win. He fears that running the table for the rest of the season is going to put them in a perilous position. Because that's all that matters to me.
They need to know how to rebound. They need to know how to rebound from loss.
So in terms of the real X's and O's of it all, you need to lose when you've been getting a little lucky to win. The Cowboys, by and large, have been winning not because they've been getting lucky, but because they're actually better than the other teams.
You know what this means? It means that I should actually root for the Cowboys to win the rest of their regular season games. Because the more they win, the more the pressure will mount. And then the Michael Irvins and the Emmitt Smiths of the world, they'll be nervous Nellies. And then after that, the Dallas Cowboys will go on because it'll be a contaminating effect, okay? And then as a result, the Dallas Cowboys will go into the playoffs with all the expectations weighing on their shoulders. Also, they can reach that defining moment and then plummet. This is a good thing. Michael Irvin, thank you, bro. I didn't think about that. This is a beautiful thing.
There is a philosophical
This is a beautiful thing.
It's lovely. In terms of Cowboys haters, and this is the difference between Stephen A. and myself. Stephen A. would like the Cowboys to do really, really, really well so the fans' hopes can be as high as possible and then fail. So the fall is from a greater height, and therefore the splatter is also
greater. I want to bungee jump it. And then the rope.
I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I want the Cowboys to lose every game they play. I don't want them to build their hopes up. I want them to stay completely demoralized.
I just need you guys to listen to a little something I have for you.
A mediocre team and Big D. That's what makes this funny.
I don't hear anything.
It's accident waiting to happen. Come on, you should know that voice. There it is.
So
you got it.
So the sound wasn't ready.
No, it was ready. You just couldn't hear with those ears. But you know what's going to be interesting? This is the first team that's going to have played them twice, the Redskins.
Yeah.
So they've already had a look at Dak, so we'll see what they do.
You know what they're going to find?
What?
They're actually really good. That's what they're going to find the second time they play them.
right, on that note, coming up, it's the moment you have all been waiting for. No, not the accident waiting to happen. Who are the two lucky winners who will take on Stephen A. and Max right here at the debate desk at ESPN headquarters? The big announcement next. Stay tuned.
First Take is brought to you by Fitbit. Find yours at Fitbit.com.
It's time. Winner for the First Take Your Take contest. I got to get right to it. The time constraints here. The lady, the woman who has won this contest, Miss Crystal Stone. Check her out.
Stephen A., I can't believe you still won't recognize the Cowboys as the team to beat in the NFC when they've won the last 9 games, including against the #1 defense in the NFL. What else do they have to do? They have exceeded everyone's expectations week after week, including Jerry Jones. Ezekiel Elliott is rushing all over everybody, and just when you think you got him figured out, just when you think you're gonna win, shout out Eagles, Steelers, Ravens. Here comes Dak Prescott in the fourth quarter. His back against the wall. He is 20 of 22 passes in the fourth quarter over the last 3 games. Stephen A., you might want to get a new prescription because you are failing this eye test.
I'll deal with her next. I'll deal with her when she gets to Bristol. Now it's time for the fellas. The male winner of the First Take Your Take contest, Mr. Michael Goodman. Check it out.
Now, Max Kellerman, I do got to give you some props because since you've been on the show, you have given Stephen A. run for his money. But today's argument regarding LeBron James has more pressure on him now since the Cleveland Indians lost is the worst argument you've had since you've been on the show. LeBron James has more pressure. Are you serious? LeBron James has been there 2 years and already brought the Cleveland Cavaliers their first NBA championship in team history. Do I have to get into how he stimulates the economy and the hundreds of millions of dollars for the Cleveland and Northeast Ohio area? Come on, man. You better than this, Max.
I just want to say one thing. We had nearly 10,000 submissions, and we so appreciate everyone getting involved, that they want to come in and debate you. And
that's only
be
the
a part
First
of
Take
it.
Your Take. Doesn't have anything to do with the people that found my private emails, the private emails of producers on this show and beyond. There were thousands upon thousands of videos that came in. And by the way, no, it's not like they just sent in one video. Folks watch the show every day. They sent in multiple videos. I was very impressed with the dude, especially Crystal, considering the fact that she's a Cowboy fan. I was highly reluctant to not pick her, to pick at all, just based off of the fact that she's a Cowboy fan. But I couldn't deny that she was better than the other females.
They took a shot, and they won the contest, and that's a big deal. I like him going at me. He's wrong. I will dissect him when he gets here.
Lord.
Until then, congratulations for
I hope you guys don't get embarrassed, because that would be embarrassing on national TV.
They want to come on national TV. They want a piece of the action. Let them come get it. You know, we don't listen. Like I said, and I'll issue a statement later for ESPN to put out. My congratulations to them now.
Yes.
My condolences.
Oh my
will
gosh!
come
Thank
later.
you to everyone. Speaking of which, you guys, we had someone put on a show last night. Did you see Megatron?
Oh, he was
Dancing
off the
with
chain.
the Stars.
Oh, please play this.
I want to show
Do we have
this.
that video?
Yes.
Oh, my Lord. I watched it last night. It was beautiful. Go ahead. Show this, y'all. Oh, they don't have the video.
We don't have the video?
Good Lord. Good
All right.
Lord.
He finished third.
Listen.
He finished
when he
third,
came
and
out
he had
dancing with the
moves.
rest of the crew, oh, it was fly. Megatron showed out. I was sitting there going like this. Damn, he should be back on the football field. I mean, it was.
Has an athlete ever won Dances with the Stars?
Yeah.
Who
Emmett
won
Smith.
it?
Yeah.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith won the whole thing?
Emmett Smith won the whole thing one time. Evander Holyfield.
Jerry Rice, I think, did well.
Jerry Rice
There's been a
won
bunch.
too.
Yep.
Jerry Rice.
Floyd Mayweather was on it.
Well, yeah, you know, Jerry.
Because he knows how to tap dance.
Listen. We listen. A lot of them go out there. They try. You know, Warren Sapp did good.
Yeah.
Warren Sapp did very well when he was on it. I don't think he won it, but Emmett Smith won it. Jerry Rice won it. Warren Sapp showed out. One episode he had on a Matrix outfit. He was doing it up. He was doing it up. Michael Irvin tried.
Would you
God
guys
bless
ever
you.
go on?
No.
Really?
Not my style.
Why not?
Not my style. It's not what I want to do. No, if I'm trying to be the best at anything that I choose to do, and I don't think I would be the best dancer.
He's got to get to be the best at this desk first.
Oh, yeah.
And then he can try something else.
It'd be too overwhelming for you to work on two different things at once.
That's when that was happening.
That much older than me.
I am.
No, that's when he had the goatee lined up real nice, real crispy.
Connecting sideburns and everything.
Yeah.
Caesar fade.
Thank you, everybody. Congrats again, and thank you for playing.